Okay, let's talk about that defense now that Myles Garrett is a part of. And let's go to a question from Rory from Wisconsin. And we're going to talk more CBS lists. Thanks for all the content, CBS, for giving us all these lists to discuss. Rory from Wisconsin. Hey, Mary Kay. CBS ranked the Browns defense the best in the AFC, third overall in the NFL. Rory says he's a biased judge himself, but doesn't it seem a bit premature to crown them as defensive juggernauts when they're looking at potentially 9 new starters on that side of the ball? If not number one, where would you objectively rank them? I saw this text today, Mary Kay, when I was calling through answers from our football, or questions, I should say, from our Football Insider subscribers. And it did kind of take me aback. I had to go look before we came on just to make sure this list actually existed. It does. The number one defense in the AFC. That seems a little much for me right now, especially in June, as we're recording this on June 1st. But what do you think?
Well, I would say potentially the Browns defense, it's just loaded with talent right now. And they've completely overhauled this defense. And in a perfect world, they will end up as a top 5 defense. But right now, they are still unproven. There are a lot of unknowns. We don't know, how is Jadeveon Clowney going to come back off of his injury and integrate into this defense? How are Grant Delpit and Greedy Williams going to come back from their injuries? How is Andrew Billings going to come back from his opt-out? I think these are some really big question marks about this defense. How quickly are they all going to come together and work together? And they don't have a lot of time to figure it out because they are going to hit the ground running against the Kansas City Chiefs. So they have to be on point right away. Again, on paper, they have the potential to be absolutely a top 5 defense. If we were drafting the defenses, Dan, there we go. If we were drafting NFL defenses right now, I don't know that I would put them third. I don't think I would put them third because they're a little unproven. In terms of the AFC, I don't think I would put them first in the AFC. I mean, I think you have to look at defenses like the Bills, the Ravens, the Steelers. Who else am I forgetting in the AFC that has an amazing defense?
Well, let's just see who's on this list. There's the Ravens, there's the Steelers, the Dolphins,
the
Broncos.
Dolphins. Yeah, right. So I don't know if I necessarily would have them number one. I think that's a little high. I'd probably put them in maybe in the top 5 on both of those lists, but not number 1 in the AFC and not number 3.
Yeah, and I think, look, these are all projections, right? I do think it's okay to maybe pump the brakes here and there on something. So like Greg Newsome, right? Everybody's really excited about Greg Newsome, and rightfully so. And that's a guy who, I was beating that drum leading through the draft process and all of that. But, let's not forget Greg Newsome was the 26th pick in the draft, and you want that pick to be very good, but it's not like he was the top corner taken. It might take a little bit of time for him to become the player that people want him to become. And Greedy Williams is coming off really a lost season. So it might take him some time. And even, going back to his rookie year, it's not like he was a shutdown corner. That's a really important position and a really important piece to this defense. So I still think for all the veteran presence they added, and we know who John Johnson is, we know he's really good. We know Anthony Walker is good. We know Troy Hill is good. And we know Jadeveon Clowney can be good. There's still some unknowns on this defense that would just prevent me from saying, yeah, they're just going to shut people down and be the best defense in football. I think it's going to take a little time with some of these guys. And it's almost doing a disservice to some of these young players to say, hey, Greg Newsome is going to come in and just hit the ground running. Well, let's give him time to develop and grow into what he's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, even though he'll play in that first game, I mean, you almost have to be a little bit careful that, you don't want him to lose confidence right away. He's only played 21 college games. And speaking of 21 and 21 this and 21 that, 21 college games, and he just turned 21 last week. He just became, or May 18th, I think it was, he just became old enough to legally buy a beer on May 18th. So he's very, very young. He does not have a lot of starts under his belt. It could take him a little bit of time. Remember, Joe Hayden did not start until like halfway through his rookie year. Some guys can handle it. Some guys for sure can handle it. And maybe Greg Newsome will be one of those guys, but we just don't know yet. We don't know. And we'll have to see how that goes. It's going to be the same thing for a lot of these guys on defense, right? JOK, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's a little bit of a unique tweener, an undersized player, and plenty of teams were hesitant about him. The Browns, on the other hand, ecstatic about him. So these are the kind of question marks that you have as you head into the season. How will he integrate into this defense? How fast will he come along? I mean, they've got some great pieces, and now they have to put it all together and see how it works.